Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Bent Limbs podcast. I am your host, Matt Thielking, and today on episode 8 is kind of an impromptu podcast with my good buddy, Tyree Appleberry, and we just want to talk about the new hot rod on the market from TenPoint, the Nitro 505, just came out a couple weeks ago. Um, TenPoint first manufacturer here for the new year or just before the new year to release their 2022 models for both the 10-point line of crossbows as well as some new models on the Wicked Ridge line. And really, I just, to be perfectly honest with you guys, I literally texted Tyree like 20 minutes ago, and I just wanted to talk to him about this bow and see if he had gotten his hands on it yet. And and it turns out he did. And then I was like, hey man, do you want to just make a podcast about this? Because we're going to talk about some cool stuff. Either way, let's just record it and put it out there. Ty, as always, man, thanks for hopping back on with me and chatting with me tonight.
Not a problem. I appreciate you even giving me a call and giving me another opportunity at stardom. No, I'm kidding. It was a great pleasure to come on here with you guys. You already know how I am.
So the 10-point Nitro 505 has now surpassed the Raven as far as the fastest crossbow on the market here to start the 2022 lineup of bows in the 2022 year here. Rated at 505 feet per second, but I have seen some videos and read some articles here today about this new bow, and it's honestly chronographing faster than that, at least as far as a few of the test models that are out there on YouTube and stuff. I've seen speeds in the 512, 513, 514 range, shooting a 400 grain bolt. I mean, this thing it's screaming. It is a hot rod. And it looks like 10-point, and I am no expert on the 10-point line of crossbows. I'll just put that out there as it is, but it looks like they kind of just refined a platform that they've had for a couple of years. Like the Havoc 470, I think it is. It looks very
The
similar to that
440.
bow. 440. Um,
Yeah.
Looks very similar to that bow. Just a new cam system they came out with. It looks like a new or a longer power stroke on the Nitro. It looks like they did some stuff with the cocking mechanism as far as a beefier strap to be able to hold up to the 300-pound draw weight on this crossbow. So I like what 10-point did, at least like at first glance when I was checking out a bunch of stuff today. I like what they did in kind of just refining and beefing up a platform that they've got some history with. Spec wise on this bow, I'm just going to rattle off some specs here real quick, Ty, and then we're going to dig right into you actually shooting it. So, length of the bow, 30.5 inches, axle to axle, uncocked, 12 inches, cocked, 6.5, power stroke, 17, which is pretty darn big on a 30.5 inch bow. The overall weight, and this is no accessories as it's listed on 10-Point's website, is 7.9 pounds. And I saw a video, and I'll post links, you guys, to all these different videos, all these different articles that have come out on this bow already. So you can look and reference those. I want to say it was like 11.3 pounds or something. It was right around 11 pounds, fully loaded with a scope and quiver full of arrows, all kinds of stuff. Basically, as you would hunt with it, it was a little over 11 pounds. With the Pro Elite 400 carbon arrow, that is a 400 grain arrow. That is where they're getting their 505 feet per second speed rating. That generates a 227 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. They've also got listed a Evo X center punch carbon arrow. That is a 445 grain arrow. That one they chronoed at 485 with a 232 foot-pound kinetic energy. It's got a reverse draw style, like we were saying, similar to that Havoc style bow. So not a brand new platform, refined platform. AccuSlide, cocking and decocking, which we're going to dig into because I think this cocking and decocking mechanism is really sweet on this bow. The new RX8 cam system. This is brand new for this bow. It rotates 404 degrees, which is crazy. I mean, more than a full rotation for the cams to generate the power to be able to shoot a bolt over 500 feet per second. 10-point, they advertise this as their most tested crossbow ever. And I don't know exactly what that means, and we'll kind of dig into this a little bit more as well. But 10-point on their website says it being the most tested crossbow ever with over 25,000 shots put through this design. I don't know what that means as far as number of bows, how many shots per bow or whatever, but I think what 10-point's trying to say is like we didn't skimp on this design. It's something we've been looking into. It's something that we have tested, we have played with. We are confident in what it can do. It's got a 2-stage trigger, zero creep. It's got a 3.5-pound trigger pull. Something that I think all the 10-point bows, and again, I don't know them all, but as I've looked through and watched some videos, just like a lot of the other top end bows, I think this trigger is going to be another really good one. I mean, overall, this is the new hot rod, and Ty has gotten his hands on it and he has shot it. And what I really like too, Ty is no green newbie to crossbows. He knows his stuff. He has shot a lot of different crossbows, but his experience so far with the Nitro 505 has been what you or I walking into a pro shop, picking this bow up for the first time, taking a few shots with it would be. Ty didn't have a ton of time to really, run a ton of arrows through it, kind of do a thorough look over, all that kind of stuff, which I actually really like because I think this is a great representation of just anyone walking into a pro shop, picking this bow up for the first time and shooting it. So here's where I'm going to turn it over to my man Ty. Ty, let's just walk through. You walk in to Gable Sporting Goods, your local sporting goods shop that you know well. And that you've shot and tested a lot of bows there. I guess just take us through you walking in, picking up the bow for the first time, first impressions, and how it felt shooting it.
All right. Well, let me go on and say, if money wasn't an issue, and say I had never shot a crossbow, period, putting that specific particular crossbow in my hands and shooting it was awesome. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It was awesome. It was like, close your mouth, you're drooling. Awesome.
It should be awesome. I mean, it shoots 505 feet per second or more.
Yeah, you're going to buy it. Yeah. Especially if you're like, okay, I want top of the line, top everything. You're buying that. I did have an opportunity to fire this crossbow several times, and with 150 grain broadhead, not broadhead, but field point on it, that crossbow was blazing fast. It was scary fast. I'm used to being able to shoot a crossbow and almost seeing the bolt as it flies. Nah, you don't see this one. I mean, unless it's lit knock and it's dark where you can still see the knock as it sails through the air, you're going to miss it because it's that fast. It was a little noisy, but overall speed was unreal.
So you said it was a little noisy, which, I mean, let's be honest here. This thing has a ton of power. I mean, 300-pound draw weight, 17-inch power stroke, over 500 feet per second. Like it's going to have some noise to it.
Yeah, it will.
How about
that's
vibration?
Not a make or break deal.
How about vibration? How did it feel when you shot it?
It felt good. It had you hear more than feel the twang after it goes off. It does
Okay.
have a little kick to it. Not saying like you putting 12 gauge up to your shoulder. No, definitely nothing like that. It does have a slight kick to it, but you hear the twang more than you feel any vibration.
Okay.
The way they have it set up is actually pretty good. So them saying they've gotten this many shots in testing, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. The balance of it with the way the reverse draw, the whole 9 yards, the way everything is centered over the center of the bow, and you're holding it, it's nice. The 7 to 10 pounds, whatever you're using on it, doesn't feel as much. You're not heavy in the front trying to hold it up. Everything fits right in your hands, pretty centered.
Okay.
300-pound draw was scary just hearing it.
But
But their cocking system and the crank and the beefy strap that they use, and it's effortless in comparison. I mean, you think you'd literally have to put a little effort into cranking it, and you really don't. It's just turn it,
and
and it
that
winds it right it up, just zoop, and it's good.
that is one thing too that, I having not followed 10 point super closely the last couple of years. I mean, I have shot 10 point crossbows. I have not shot this bow or some of their newer stuff over the last, few years. But watching the videos that I did today on their cocking system, the AccuSlide cocking system, I was very, very impressed with that. I really liked the concept of it. It's all internal. You've got this strap that is basically connected to like your trigger box mechanism, and that whole trigger box comes out, um, connects to your string, and the crank is internal. It didn't have any buttons that you needed to necessarily push while you were cranking it, like to lock it in place or anything. Like if you were cranking it and you stopped cranking it, it would just stay
It would
there.
just sit there.
Yep.
A couple of crossbows that I have tried with the crank system on it. If you let go, or if your hand slip, it's unwinding on you. This
Yep.
one, it didn't even have a back pull, like it might even consider spinning any. It's just stop, and it just sits there. And then if you, in middle of your draw, if you decided to back it down, it would back down without hesitation.
The new strap associated with this cocking mechanism. I don't know what the previous strap was on like the Havoc, or similar platform bows, but this new one is rated for 2,000 pounds of force. So where you were saying, a 300-pound draw weight, kind of scares you hearing that. They sounds like they way over engineered the strap associated with the cocking mechanism. So as far as that goes, that there should be no worries. And everything I saw too, and like what you were saying with their crank system, the videos I watched of people cocking it, it did not look like they were struggling cocking it. And I thought it was really cool too, just how the handle for the crank stowed kind of in the bottom of the stock. Um, and then it was also extendable. So if you needed to get a little bit more leverage for cranking the bow, you could extend that handle and get that additional leverage if for some reason you were struggling with it. But from what I was watching today, um, uh, uh, people cocking a 300-pound crossbow, it did not look like a 300-pound crossbow. So kudos
I
to
actually would
10-point.
actually feel comfortable with not, I wouldn't say a small child, but a mid-teen or even a female cocking it. It's that easy. It's nothing. You have to be no bodybuilder who can curl 100-pound weight in your arm to crank this thing. It's just you crank it, and it was basically that simple and that easy. Once you understood the logistics, okay, you got to push it, you got to make it here, it click twice, and once it clicks twice, you crank. The slide was very easy. You didn't hear no bunch of metallic rubbing of the slide going down. It just was. It was nice. That's about the best word I can think about it. It was nice.
And did you try the decock feature on it?
No, I didn't, because when I cocked it, I let a bolt go. So it wasn't, well, let me just try it. It was like, hey, let me take a couple of shots, and boom, there it was. And it was, how you say it, very impromptu. Like I said, I knew no specifics, no stats, no nothing about the bow other than, oh, this is brand new. Okay. Hey, that's nice. I'm not too crazy about the reverse draw limb thing. That's just me specifically. I personally, but it was nice. It would definitely give me pause to maybe even consider that. The fact that it has an extended power stroke. Wow, that's nice too. I mean, that means it's giving out a lot more power. It has a lot more room just to get pushed. And like I said, it sailed those bolts like nothing. And I already know, well, speed isn't everything. And I know you're probably going to get a lot of that on comments. Well, speed isn't everything. And you're true. It really isn't. However, with a lot of us moving to heavier bolt weights and things like that, having a crossbow that produces that kind of speed, we might take a little away from it with a heavier bolt. However, you're still throwing a 500, 600 grain bolt downrange at 400 plus feet a second. Let me think about that. That works out real good with me. I'm just going to put it out there. It does. It works. Well, I don't know. Nah, I know. If I can put 600 grains on a bolt with a good FOC and it's throwing them already stock 505, sub 515 FPS, yeah, that's putting me at the 400 FPS plus mark real quick.
It's kind of like, how do you want to utilize that speed? Like, do you
That
want,
part.
yep, do you want, I mean, because you've got it. So if your shooting style or your hunting style, if you need that speed, if you're like, I have longer shots, this thing has a ton of
Yeah, if
kinetic
you're
energy
hunting
no
a
matter.
cheetah. Yeah, if you're hunting a cheetah, yeah, go for it.
But if you're like, I hunt a big wide open food plot from a redneck blind with a, you know, buckled into a tripod or something like that with a steady rest, like I need that speed. Well, you've got it. You've got the most speed you can possibly get right now on the market. If you're,
Yeah.
kind of where you're going with like the way you and I more hunt, where our shots are not that long. They are more traditional compound bow range versus crossbow range, where we err on the side of give me something heavier, give me more of that momentum, because I don't necessarily need all that speed, but I want to translate it into as much momentum as possible. Um, you've got it, and you still have a crap load of speed. So
Yeah.
you can tailor it, I guess, to whatever your hunting situation is. If you're going to be having close shots at game, then yeah, you can throw a really heavy bolt really fast. You can just tailor it however you want. You can let it rip at 500 feet per second if you need to take those longer shots at game that might react sooner to the bow going off or your bolt, your arrow flying, or if you need to slow it down a little bit but launch something heavier. I mean, you've got the most power on the market, and you can use it however you want to fit your hunting style.
Yes, you really could.
Let's talk a little
Okay.
more feel related. Trigger. How was the trigger?
Oh, okay. Trigger. It's a 3.5, I think. Zero creep. I liked it. Now I've shot one of my bows is a 3.5, and I shot the Raven, and it's a 3. I like the 3.5 a little more than the 3 because it allows you a little leeway as far as almost touching the trigger and it going off.
Yep.
So you actually get to feel the trigger on your fingertip as opposed to touching it and it fires. So it did not creep, but I did feel the pull, and I liked that because I felt the shot. It wasn't something that scared the devil out of you. As soon as you touch it, it's gone.
Yep.
No, you actually feel the shot. It was definitely quiet as far as the trigger pull. It was smooth. It wasn't no jerking motion, but you felt it. And I definitely rather something you can feel versus something that's instant.
Heard it described on a couple of videos I watched was with it being 2 stages, it's got some kind of, I don't know if you want to call it slack, but it's going to move a little bit. Stage 1 is like you taking up some slack. So you're going to feel it move. And then as soon as it stops moving and you're at basically kind of like that, stage 2 of the trigger pull where you're going to let the shot go, that's where it's got 0 creep, that it just breaks clean after that at that 3.5 pounds. So you kind of get that, in a hunting environment where maybe you're wearing gloves, maybe you're nervous, maybe you're all that stuff, like what you're saying, you don't want to have a trigger where you breathe on it and it's going to go off. You're going to feel some movement. You're going to feel that trigger on your finger. And then as soon as you kind of feel, if you want to call it like the back wall of that trigger, as soon as you feel it tighten up, now once you squeeze a little bit more on it and go over 3.5 pounds, it's going to break clean and going to let that shot go.
That sounds like a good description of it. I mean, I personally didn't notice a movement in it. I did. Well, I wasn't doing it as like, okay, I'm getting ready to do a review on it. This was just, oh, let's shoot. So it was more or less, to me, it felt like I just put a little bit more pressure into it. And that might have been stage 1, the little bit of pressure, and then break. And it was done.
We've kind of described, how it felt, how it shot. Let's talk, you had mentioned if price wasn't a issue or an objective or whatever for this crossbow. So this bow, there's actually 3 models that TenPoint came out with for it. The 505 0, 505 Oracle X, and then the 505. So it's different kind of like scope packages as far as how the bow comes set up from TenPoint. And those range from like $3,000 going all the way up to like $4,500 ish. So this is not a cheap crossbow. I mean, it's the hot rod of all hot rods. And when you, I guess when you kind of look at a crossbow like this, one thing that kind of jumps out to me is I think people have to know what they're getting into when they buy a bow like this, because this is a hot rod. And you've got to know that because it has so much power, because it is so, technologically advanced as far as the crossbow industry goes, it's going to have some things that might be different or might be, more meticulous as far as maintenance goes, things like that. So I was trying to think of a good kind of like, I don't know, metaphor for like what this crossbow is, or kind of crossbows in general. And I was reading an article today where, this crossbow was referred to as the Lamborghini of crossbows. And I thought that was a good metaphor of, a Lamborghini is different than a Ford Taurus or your Chevy Silverado, or, kind of like your daily driver car, like someone that buys a Lamborghini. Just they know it's different. They know it's fast as hell, and it's just packed with performance-based features, and they know that that comes with, you know, a different maintenance package than something like a Ford Taurus. But I kind of thought, and this is where I wanted to kind of like bounce this off of you, Ty, as far as like a metaphor. I almost thought of the crossbow industry similar to the boating industry. So hear me out on this. Like everyone as they grow up is familiar with cars. Everyone's familiar with cars because everybody's parents has cars, and you don't start driving cars until you're whatever 14, 15. You get your learner's permit, and then 16 you get your driver's license. But like you've been exposed to cars your whole life, so you are somewhat familiar with cars. I
Right.
think boating to me is kind of like crossbows, where not everyone is familiar with boats. Not everyone has them. Not everyone grew up around them, and they have a very different uh, maintenance regimen or things you have to do to them compared to a car. Like a boat is requires more maintenance than a car. I
It does.
think I think the crossbow industry is like that. In kind of the analogy I wanted to use, this is like the cigarette boat of boating. Like if you are going to jump in to crossbows and buy your first crossbow, think of this kind of like the cigarette boat. This is fast. This is high performance. If what you want out of a crossbow is something that, you can really, I don't know, throw in the back bed of your Polaris Ranger and drive it down a, washed out gravel road and bounce it all over the place and bang it on your climbing sticks as you're climbing up your tree stand and bring it back down and expect that it is going to perform um, to that high level with that kind of environment. This might not be the crossbow for you. And the reason I say that is because like a cigarette boat, right? They make a ton of power. They are super fast, but they are boats that you got to rebuild the motor every whatever 25 or
Yeah.
50 hours. It's not your family pontoon that you can fire it up and it's going to run, it's going to be easy on gas, and it's going to
Yeah, we're gonna
cruise you
leave it
around
in
the
the water,
lake.
docked at the lake. No,
Yep.
this would not be it.
Yep. So that is a analogy that I wanted to use for this bow because I just wanted people, and I hope you agree with this analogy. If you don't, please chime in. But I just wanted people to know that if they're going to drop this kind of coin on this bow, that they need to have cigarette boat type of expectations for this bow and not the family pontoon or not the 17-foot bass tracker with a 50 horse Merc on it type of expectation for how they're gonna use it and how they hope it suits their needs. I don't know. Chime in. Tell me what you think. Do you think that's a good analogy? And I guess weigh in on that. And if people were walking in as first time crossbow purchasers and they were looking at this bow, like what would you tell them?
Okay, well, having done so much work over at Gables and seeing various bows being brought in and talking with their archery shop manager, who is a really great friend of mine. Um, don't expect to walk into your local bow shop and say, okay, I need to get this done, and it's going to be able to get done right in house. It's not. I'm just going to tell you that now. You will be shipping your bow back to the manufacturer, and they will determine whether or not this is something manufacturer wise or not. And I don't know how they do it, but they do it. They know pretty much what's going to happen with regular use, regular wear and tear. So you think you have a warranty and they get it and they say, oh, well, no. But To fix it, it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they're going to run you down this price tag. And I don't know if all bow shops are like this, but some of them don't pay for shipping. You will pay for shipping for them to ship your bow back to the manufacturer. So this is not, okay, yeah, we can order this part and give us a couple of weeks and we should have it back and have it both put back together and we'll give you a call. This is not that. This, like you said, this is the Lamborghini. Yes, that is the Lamborghini. Even going to a Lamborghini dealer, you're not just going to get fixed right then and there. They're going to have, we're going to have to send this out to get specialized. Yeah, that's what this bow is. Beautiful bow, beautiful concept, extremely fast. It's beautiful all the way around. But just like when you pay for that oil change on a Lamborghini, you're going to pay for your routine maintenance on this bow.
Yep. And I think
you're going to pay for it. So if you're going to think you're just going to drop a few dollars and, oh, yeah, and then no, don't even, I'm not even going to allow you to fool yourself off the top. You don't.
And,
just you know, don't.
The reason, listeners, the reason we're saying that is when you look at this bow and you look at a bow that is 300-pound draw weight, that is, 12 inches uncocked, going to 6.5 cocked, axle to axle. It's got short limbs, 300-pound draw on a 17-inch power stroke. Those limbs, the string, the cam system has just a ton of preload and power just sitting there. Like it's just like
it's loaded.
It's loaded. It's really loaded up. So you just have to know that is this bow. If that is what you want, you're gonna get it. But you gotta treat it like that Lamborghini or that cigarette boat. It's I'm not saying, and I think time will tell, right? This bow is 2 weeks old. Like I kind of separate, at least in my mind, I separate durability. I think durability to the crossbow manufacturers is a little different than what a hunter thinks of durability. So I want to separate durability from ruggedness. I think this bow is durable. I think TenPoint has tested it. They're putting specs out there of that they have tested this design to over 25,000 shots. So I believe it is designed to do what it's designed to do. Like it does it. It does exactly what it's designed to do. The ruggedness of it, I think, has yet to be determined. But I think that just knowing what this bow is, knowing its price point, knowing how powerful it is, you can't expect to drive your Lamborghini down the same dirt roads you drive your 95, F-250. Like you can't. Like no one would do that to a Lamborghini on like washed out dirt road ripping 40 miles an hour type of thing, So just put that in your head when you look at this bow. You've got to treat it like the high performance machine that it is, and don't treat it like and I'm not taking anything away from lower price bows. Lower price bows, I mean, hell, they exceed technology that still boggles my mind for the price point that they have and the speed and what they're capable of doing. But you can't treat this like some of those bows that don't have near as much limb preload, that don't have near as much tension on the string. The draw weight's not as high. The power stroke draw weight combination isn't as high. Like there are a lot of bows that are not near as loaded up as this thing is, especially when it's cocked. So you've got to treat it like the high performance machine that it is, and I think it will do exactly what it's designed to do, as long as you know in the back of your head, this is the Lamborghini, this is the cigarette boat, This is not the Bass Tracker or the pontoon boat or the Ford Taurus or the F-150 or whatever analogy you want to use. Just know that going into it before you buy it.
Exactly. If you don't, you're going to be surprised.
If you don't, you're going to be upset, and you're going to be writing a whole bunch of pissed off comments on Facebook and Crossbow Nation's forums talking about how this thing blew up on its 10th shot or whatever. And, and this is a whole other topic for a whole other episode, but talking to a lot of different people about things like that, bows blowing up, limbs breaking, string issues, all that kind of stuff. It sounds like a lot of it comes back to people's expectations of what that bow should be capable of doing, and treating it. I heard a quote. It was a quote from a very, very a knowledgeable crossbow. I'm going to call him an expert because he's been around crossbows a long time. From his most reputable dealer was, bows like this you have to treat like a fiddle and not an axe. And if whoever hears this, if that is your quote, I'm sorry, I don't know whose quote that was, but I think that's a great quote of you got to treat it like the finely tuned machine that it is, and not like an axe in the back of your truck. And if you do, your dealers are probably going to know. TenPoint's probably going to know when you send that bow back. And there's going to be more costs associated with it, not just the upfront coin that you dropped. So it is a badass bow. It really is. And I hope, the people that buy it know what they're getting into. And if they do, I think you are going to be just pleasantly surprised with it. Not even surprised. I mean, I think it's, or surprised. I mean, people have never shot one this fast. And you know what? Gosh, I don't want to miss this either. You talked about this, and I don't want to necessarily compare brands, but I think we have to when we talk about kind of the speed race of crossbows, right? A lot of manufacturers are trying to make the fastest Ferrari or the fastest cigarette boat here, and Raven did it, I guess you could say, last year, because we're so close to 2022 here, with the R500, which you have shot. Um, can you compare it to that? I guess kind of feel, it's advertised just a touch faster. Chronos maybe even a little more faster. But I guess kind of touch on how this bow, the new hot rod, the new fastest one in town, compares to, the previous fastest bow in town.
Okay, so having shot the Raven R500, it did chrono faster than listed, I think by 4 FPS. The Raven was, in my opinion, a little more front heavy just because of the design, and some of the things that they had on it, as far as like their the way that specific crossbow cocked and decocked using a rod, for lack of a specific terminology on how they did it, versus the strap. The fact that you could add a battery operated motor to it to pretty much crank it for you. If you had to put a comparison versus Lamborghini, I would call the Raven maybe the Ferrari. Speed, if speed is that issue, they are pretty much running neck to neck with the speed.
Okay.
Overall performance, just in my opinion, and with me, I liked the Nitro a little bit better, as performance wise, because it was a little bit more balanced. The one Raven I did shoot, it had what they call the sniper scope package with it, which was a little more elite of the scopes, where you could dial in your range right on the side of the scope, and it elevates your turn or whatever. versus I guess it was the stock scope that was on it, just the basic bottom of the line scope that they do come out with. So it was a lot of comparisons if you had to do that. I did like the trigger a little bit better as far as that on the Nitro as well.
Okay.
The Raven was a little more quiet on the initial. The ease of the use, I'd run them pretty close as far as the ease of the use of it.
Okay.
They're definitely, both of the crossbows are definitely under a tremendous amount of preload. A tremendous amount.
I don't think you could treat either different. You got to treat them both the same. I mean,
I'm talking like I'm talking bubble wrap everything before you even go anywhere with it. Just to make sure you don't do anything to them. But if I had to pick one right here, right now, it's yours. I would go with the Nitro. I would definitely go with the 505. Price points as basic, bottom of the line. Say the cheapest of the 505 versus the cheapest of the R500s. Wicked Ridge would have that one as well because they are coming in a couple of $100 under the Raven as far as their base, bottom of the line, top of the line.
Yeah, it looks like I've got them up here. I'm looking at the Raven right now. It's looking like the R500. You're just over
34.
Yeah, a little over $3,000 on this. On looks like an all black version of the R500, and then I'll just rattle off the prices here for everybody on the Nitro series. You've got the Nitro 500, which I'm looking at the camo version on the TenPoint website at $3,049. Basically the same as the Raven at $3,024 or $25. I did see, I think one of maybe the all black, or they have kind of like a new olive green. I think I saw on bowhunting.com's video that one was just shy, basically right at $3,000. So base level, it seems they're pretty comparable. And then when you get into the packages that TenPoint offers with like the Oracle scope, or I think the other one, this Zero, I think that's the Garmin scope. You're looking at for the Oracle X1, that package you're looking at $3,750, and for that Nitro 505 with the Zero scope, you're looking at $4,670. So really, I mean, they're kind of both $3,000 bows, and if you want to package them differently from TenPoint with some seriously upgraded optics, you can do that, creeping into that or over that $4,000 price range. And guys, Ty and I are not trying to scare you out of buying this crossbow. We just want people to be aware of what this is and use some analogies to kind of help you understand what this crossbow is. Same with the R500, if that's something that you're looking at.
This is that top tier.
Yep.
This is that.
And if the way we described it as the cigarette boat or as the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and that kind of stuff, if you're sitting there thinking, man, I want a new bow, I want something to upgrade from what I have, but I don't want the Ferrari or the Lamborghini. TenPoint released a lot of new models, not just the Nitro 505, but they've got a couple other ones here that I think could fit, different hunting styles, different price points. They've got a Titan decock now, so different draw system. I think this is the AccuDraw system, but it's got decocking ability. That's your Killer Instinct Fatal X type of design, or what is it? The longer version of the Raven. Ty, you probably know what that one is.
The R29, the R10, that slim, a little lengthy, but real slim design.
Whichever one is the longer one, very similar to the Titan. And then you've got, honestly, like I really like these two bows here on the Wicked Ridge line of things. These are brand new. You've got the Fury 410 decock. So it's kind of the same, excuse me, the same kind of base platform. Um, it looks like it's not quite the power stroke as that Nitro, but the same reverse limb, reverse cam design. 410 feet per second crossbow. That's coming in at $1,000, and that's got the AccuDraw system, but with decock. And then my personal favorite of like if someone was saying I either want to upgrade or I want to get into crossbows, but I want some of these these newer tech features of the draw system and the decock system. I really like this Raider 400 as a higher end. I don't even want to call it an entry level bow, but it's a higher end entry level looking bow. It's a traditional platform. It's a traditional um, wider limb design, longer limbs, more of a traditional style, milder cam system, traditional power stroke, still shoots 400 feet per second. It's got this, a great trigger, AccuDraw system with decock. It's very similar to like their Invader or that Rampage 360 or the Blackhawk 360 that they had last year. It looks like the same platform, just kind of, you know, amped up a little bit, getting over that 360 feet per second mark up into that 400 feet per second mark. I guess the Invader was 400 feet per second. But then you added that decock feature to it. That one's running $800. So that is a bow that if you're listening to this and you were thinking about getting the Nitro and then realized you're honestly not in the market or not looking for that Lamborghini type of crossbow, I think the Raider 400 to me looks like a fantastic kind of entry level bow with a lot of really nice upgraded features to it from some of their previous, very well known, trusted models and systems. Um, so that, you guys, is what we've got for you tonight here on the Bent Limbs podcast for the new TenPoint Nitro 505. I'm really excited to see how this bow does this year in 2022, to see more videos, to see some more just posts about it or user feedback, because it's pretty exciting to see a bow that shoots this fast on a proven TenPoint platform. And everybody knows TenPoint is a very reputable company. They don't make bad stuff. You just have to know how to use their super high performance stuff, and make sure that it fits your hunting style and your needs. So thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys listening to Ty and I, and definitely take a look at the new lineup of TenPoint and Wicked Ridge crossbows for 2022. Ty, thank you for coming on a whim with me tonight. This was fun. I hope you have a great rest of the night. Oh, hey, one more thing. You're down in Georgia. Are you a Bulldogs fan?
Come on, now. I'm a hunting fan.
Hunting fan. All right. Well, I don't know any Georgia fans.
I'm not into the sports thing per se. I'd actually rather be out in the woods. Like I'm up now, but at 0 dark 30, I will be going out in the morning and setting up.
Well, if it's dark before, which I'm guessing it is, Michigan and Georgia, 7:30 Eastern time. If you're not a Bulldogs fan, I'm a Michigan fan, so I will take a Georgia person screaming "Go Blue" from down south, because there's probably not many of them. So if you wanna pull for the Wolverines tomorrow, man, all for it. Would love to have
I'll
some
keep
Maize and
that
Blue
in the back of the head for you.
I'd love to have some Maize and Blue cheering down there in Georgia.
Like I said, I'll keep that in the back of the noggin box for you.
That sounds good, man. Well, thank you all again for tuning in, and I hope you guys like this podcast. If you did, please hit that subscribe button for me. Be safe out there. I hope the end of your hunting seasons go well, and everyone have a happy new year. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.